Get me tickled.
Good evening. July 23rd, 2023 monthly meeting of the Dixon County School Board is now in session. For the record, I recognize all school board members are present except Jason Hicks, who is attending the conference, as well as Laura Taylor, Deputy Board Clerk, Scott Mullins, School Board Attorney, and Haley Robinson, Division Superintendent. At this time, would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have the agenda for the meeting. Are there any additions or revisions to the agenda?
Mr. Chair, we would like to remove, delete agenda item N, as this agenda is included with agenda item M, use of copyrighted Ridgeview logos, please.
Do we need a motion for that?
Yes, sir, to approve the agenda with the changes as presented.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda with the changes as presented?
So moved. Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries. That brings us to public comment. Mr. Hatton, will you please read the guidelines? Mr. Martin, will you please be our timekeeper?
The period of time for public comment will be designated on the meeting agenda, during which the public may comment on issues related to public education. The Dickinson County School Board believes that the citizens of the county should be heard and that this is an acceptable format for receiving public comment.
Okay.
After the public comment section of the meeting is closed, the public shall not be allowed to participate in general board member discussions regarding agenda items. Public participation with the board members regarding agenda items can be disruptive, and the practice is prohibited by Robert's Rules of Order. It is the desire of the school board to treat each member of the public fairly and equally. Allowing one individual to participate while excluding others is unfair. The board may hold such public hearings as may be necessary to allow the public to more fully express their concerns, or the board may place the public comment section of any meeting at the end of the meeting to allow additional public comment. While we do not wish to restrict the free expression of opinion, we feel that certain restrictions may be necessary so that order and reasonable standards of decorum may be maintained. We ask that the following standards be adhered. The speaker will be recognized by the chair. Each speaker will be limited to 5 minutes. Speakers will refrain from the use of vulgarity or profanity and will avoid negative or embarrassing comments directed towards specific children or students. Board members should not respond to issues presented by speakers unless clarification is necessary. Matters of concern raised under public comment will be referred to the proper official for investigation and future board consideration if necessary.
For public comment, we'd like to recognize Kathy Music with the VPE.
Good evening, Chairman Rasnick, Mrs. Robinson, members of the board. As Mr. Rasnick said, my name is Kathy Music, and I'm the regional representative of Virginia Professional Educators. And I guess as a former educator myself, this was always my favorite time of year. It is so exciting. The kids are coming back, and you've got a redo. So first off, I just want to wish all the teachers and the students and administrators and everybody involved a good first week, and that the whole road goes smoothly. And also, I want to remind everybody that our organization gives away grants and scholarships up to $500. You don't have to be a member to receive these, and as teachers go back to school, if there's things that they need in their classroom, as I found there always was, that the grants are easy to write, and we give all the money away we're nonprofit, and at the end of the time, whatever we have left goes to these grants and scholarships. They can take a class. Of course, it's only $500, but every little bit helps. So I just want to remind everybody about those. You would have to spend the money first and then be reimbursed, but the fall submission is November 15th. So I just, as we start school and as people see the things that they need, I just wanted to remind everybody about that, and I want to wish everybody a great start. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Mr. Sean Tilber, Dix County Education Association.
Thank you all again for the opportunity to speak. July is normally quiet, but here the past couple of weeks we've been getting ready for the beginning of the school year. We actually worked a little bit today with some projects we have for the beginning of the year. We were at the school and noticed that there's everybody else. There seems to be a lot of people already getting ready for the school year. So it's here, and we're hoping for a really good year. A lot of positive attitudes. So let's hope that it's a good one. Everybody seems like they're ready to get started off.
We are.
So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tilber. Next, for public comment, Paul O'Quinn.
Thank you. I recently attended the board meeting for the Coalfield Expressway, and the VDOT representative mentioned that part of that process of constructing the expressway is relocating earth that's removed for the construction of the road. And I started to think about what are areas that could potentially benefit from thousands or millions of cubic feet of fill dirt. And I thought of the old Quenchco Elementary site and potentially getting that up out of the floodplain for development, whether it's for commercial, whether it's for residential. It's one of the few places in our county where we have quite a bit of level space. That's sort of a premium for us. So, and I don't know what potential authority the school board has to even consider something like that. But even if you can't, it's more about thinking about that longer-term thought of how could you use resources that you have to kind of help our county develop. So I just wanted to put that out there for you to think about. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. O'Quinn.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else for public comment? Our next agenda item is the consent agenda, which includes the approval of minutes, approval of monthly bills, revenue and expenditure summary, discussions of school activity funds, approval of field trips, approval of elementary school construction invoices, the approval of the bank reconciliation documents and health statement account. Do we have any questions or discussion of the consent agenda? If not, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion passes. Our next agenda item is information from the school board. Ms. Robinson.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good evening, board members. Good to have you here with us. It seems like it's been a long time since the last board meeting. There are two VSBA conferences and seminars, one in September, and the other one, of course, is the VSBA Annual Convention on November the 15th and 17th. If you are interested in attending either one of those, if you'll contact Tanya Baker, she is not in the office this week, but will be returning next week, and she'll be glad to make all the arrangements and accommodations for you. So that's on September the 21st, and then also on November 15th and 17th. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Ms. Robinson, you please tell us about good news from our schools.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome to our podium two very special people in our county. I'd like to introduce to you to Caroline, is that correct? Novak and Ben Connor. Both of these individuals work with the Appalachian Service Project. They have been staying with us at Irvington Elementary School. I think this is your second year. your second year, and I asked them to come because they do some pretty tremendous things in our community. If you go by Irvington Elementary School and you see all of these young people out there running, playing, just relaxing. That's the Appalachian Project Service after a long day of work. So we really appreciate all you do. I know that the students volunteer, is that correct?
Yes, yeah.
And so we have a lot of young people that want to give back to other communities, and so we're very thankful. So welcome.
Thank you. Like Katie said, my name is Caroline. I am the regional coordinator with ASP, so I am in charge of kind of setting up our summer centers in Virginia and Kentucky, so I spend a lot of time in the Dickinson area throughout the year. We have a PowerPoint in the back, but just to kind of give you an overview, and then I'll pass it off to Ben. This is our second year in Dickinson, and we have signed a lease with the schools for 3 years. This is our first of 3 years, so we'll be here for the next 2 summers with our summer repair program, which is really exciting to have that long-term presence here in Dickinson. With last year, we had a capacity of about 80 people. This year, we upped our capacity at the center to about 100, and this week we actually have 105 volunteers, which just basically adds on to the amount of projects we're able to do over the course of the summer, which is a really exciting opportunity. But Ben has been working in the field, so I'll let him introduce himself, and then he has a couple of project highlights for you all.
Hi everyone, my name is Ben Connor. I'm the center director here in Dickinson County. So I have been staying in Irvington for the past 8 weeks now. I manage a staff of 3, so there are 4 of us total who have been managing all of the projects for the past 7 weeks of volunteers. And each week we get in crews of volunteers from all over the country, somewhere between 60 and 100 people every week. And we are rounding out our summer this week with 100 people, all from Illinois. We just wanted to give you a quick idea of what we've been able to accomplish this summer. So, can I flip to the next one? Or? Next slide. Oh, nice. Okay. So some quick statistics. This is us up on the screen. Our summer repair program has run from June 11th through July 28th, which is in just a couple days. We will have had, at the end of the summer, 600 volunteers, almost on the dot. That comes out to 86 work crews, and we've been able to work on 16 homes in the county in some way. We've been in Clintwood and in Clinchco. We've also gone up to Hayside this summer, so we've been all over the place. We've been very blessed that the Jetty Baker Center has opened its doors to us every Tuesday for the past 7 weeks. And a couple of local musicians have come to play and donate their time for the volunteers every week, and our volunteers love that. We've also been very blessed to picnic every Thursday night up at the Breaks, which is another thing that the volunteers are really thrilled to be doing in this county. Next slide. Some more statistics. I've talked a little bit about our impact on the left there. We have spent upwards, or will spend upwards of $84,000 just on materials for the home repair. That's not including the money that gets pumped into the county from the fact that hundreds of people are coming to the gas stations and convenience stores and lunch spots all around Dickinson County. We've installed 4 roofs. We've installed 4 full hug systems, which is our way of insulating a home from the outside and installing siding. We've built handicap accessible ramps and porches. We've repaired soft spots in floors. We've remodeled rooms. And just recently we installed a walk-in shower. So that gives a good idea of kind of the type of work that we do. Next slide. And just so that you can get a visual on it, this is a home that we worked on all summer long, and these are some before pictures. This home qualified for a grant from the USDA, and we installed a full hug system on it. The heating and energy bills were high in this home, and in an effort to bring those energy bills down, we installed insulation, half-inch blue foam on the outside of the entirety of the home, and then installed siding on the outside as well. So we can go to the next slide. And this is what it looked like a week ago after we had finished essentially all of the outside repair. Next slide. It's another pretty view. And then next slide, the interiors after we had finished on the floors. So we can go to the next one. This is another home that we worked on that qualified for a grant from the USDA. Again, we did a full hug system. The underpinning was made of cardboard, and the siding was pretty old wood paneling, so the home was not trapping heat very well. So we can take a look at what it's looked like more recently on the next slide. Some photos of what we were able to do over the past few weeks. And next slide. Okay, we can go to the next one. Final thing I wanted to spotlight is a different kind of project. We build handicap-accessible ramps for folks with mobility issues, whether or not they're already in a wheelchair. We try to anticipate that. So this is a before picture of some stairs, and you can kind of guess what's coming. It's a ramp that we built to get this particular homeowner who has some mobility issues from her porch to her driveway. And I believe that's all we've got in the way of pictures.
Awesome. So those are just a little kind of overview of the projects that we've been able to do. Ben mentioned a couple of projects that were funded by a USDA grant. This is our third year of receiving that funding, but our first year of using it in Dickinson County, which has been really exciting. Last year, with it being our first year, we didn't try and qualify homes just because we were trying to get our feet in the water a little bit of finding applicants, but now that we have built up an application base, this is something we anticipate using over the next 2 years as well, which is very exciting. We get over $100,000 from USDA every summer for those repairs. We also received a lot of funding from AEP for some repairs this summer, and we actually had some employees come out and work last week every day out on site, which was pretty cool to see them for their service opportunity days with that company. So they worked on a site actually just across the road. So really exciting. We're getting some grant funding in here to be able to make a bigger impact and do more projects and fund those repairs. And so we're excited to continue to partner for the next couple of years.
Well, we look forward to working with you for the next 2 years and perhaps longer than that.
Yes.
So thank you. I have to say Caroline is probably the most patient person. She comes to our office. I'm not available. Does that deter her? Oh, no. She comes back and she makes sure. But she comes on a day I'm there. So I thank you for that because it's well worth it, and I thank you for your patience and your persistence.
No problem.
Any questions from our board?
I think it's highly commendable that you all do what you do, and I certainly am happy you come to Dixon County and hope you continue that over a span of forever. It's certainly in great need here, and what you all do is certainly, good Christian effort to help everybody, and we certainly appreciate that in every way.
I love being here.
Thank you very much.
I follow that. It's just fantastic work. Appreciate all you all do.
Thank you.
So if you go by Irvington Elementary, or if you hear that there's a bunch of kids at Irvington Elementary School, now we'll know what that is.
Well, I think it's safe to say, too, since we'll be here for the next 2 summers, if anyone is interested ever in riding around with the staff and visiting sites, obviously they wrap up at the end of this week, so this summer is not the best time, but next summer, if anyone is interested, please reach out and let me know, because I think we'd love to have you all join the staff for a day and just kind of see things out in the field, which would be awesome.
I'm sure there's some projects you're asked about that you probably are not equipped to do, but is there anyone else out there that can help these people that have extensive problems like with roofs and things that are just beyond your all's capacity to do? Is there anyone else out there that can do that kind of thing?
There are a couple. With the grant funding that we have, we're a little bit more flexible now, where typically we only allow volunteers on a lower pitch roof, or we can't do 2-story homes, but with grant funds, we're able to find subcontractors to do that within counties, which is helpful, and so we've been slowly building our database of availability of that in Dickinson. But I think there's a couple more out towards the St. Paul border of repair agencies that are also doing the same thing. So,
Okay, thank you very much.
no problem. Thank you.
All right. We look forward to seeing you next year.
Thank you.
I'd also like to introduce, or not introduce, but present Ms. Martin, Karen Martin, our Director of Compliance. Karen has a couple of really interesting additions to the safety that we've added to the safety of our school division. Of course, as you know, that's a primary concern always. That is the priority, keeping our students and our staff safe. And at the beginning of the year, that seems to be very prominent for us as we begin the year. So, Ms. Martin, if you'll share with us what we've done this summer, or what you've done this summer with your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Good evening. Board. What I'd like to do is just take an opportunity to just update you on what we were able to do last year with, mainly with some grants that we were able to obtain. The first one is with our security grant that I've spoke to on numerous occasions about our security grant. With the parameters of the grant, we were only able to do things here at Ridgeview for the high school and the middle school. But what we were able to do, excuse me, we were able to install 20 additional cameras on campus, both interior and exterior. We added panic buttons in all the classroom and offices, which are little buttons underneath the desk, sort of like at a bank. You hit the button if something's going on. We installed ID visitor sign-in systems for both schools. We did additional bus cameras for some of the buses that the camera systems just had one camera. Now most of the buses have at least 3 cameras on each bus. We also added additional vape detectors in all the restrooms. So now all restrooms on this campus have 2 vape detectors per restroom. We also, we just finished up this summer, which was the biggest project, was we were able to install security window film over 85% of this building. It was a 3M 8mm security film, which with an attachment system. And so I'd like to just go in a little bit of detail with you on that. We covered zones 1, 2, and 3. Now these zones were based off of the Sandy Hook final report that came from the Federal Commission of School Safety. And zone 1 is basically your entrance is doors, and adjacent, anything that's adjacent to the door. So like the door that you came in this evening, and then the window panes that are right beside the doors, that would be a zone 1. Zone 2 would be perimeter windows. An example of a perimeter window would be Coach Grant's office. It's right there beside the door. Okay, or the cafeteria would be a perimeter window. This long hallway would be perimeter windows. And then zone 3 are interior windows, which would be the windows that go into the classrooms. So to just to give you an idea of what we were able to do, we did 108 windows in zone 1. We did 76 windows in zone 2. We did 316 windows in zone 3. We did a total of 38,485 square feet. That's a lot. We did 15% left of this building, and in phase 2, as we call it, which hopefully will be in this next security grant that I've applied for, we will finish this building with the security film. Now, it's not ballistics grade, so it doesn't stop the bullet, but what it does is it prevents the glass from shattering. Once something is thrown into it or shot into it, the glass will not shatter. It's a 8mm thick. We'll also double up on all the entrance, on the main entrances that would be doubled. So it'll be front side and back side. Now that's included in next year's phase. The second thing we were able to do, and you have a copy of this in your packet, is we talked about this a little bit, this was a grant through the Department of Criminal Justice, and we did digital mapping of all of our campuses, which would be the Ridgeview campus and also of Clintwood Elementary School. And it looks like this right here. You should have this in your packet somewhere. It's a laminated little booklet. And now what this is a printed copy. This actually, should there be an emergency on any of our campuses, this would actually electronically be sent to first responders. These maps would be. You have the overall map of the school, or map of the campus, which would direct the first responder where they need to go. As you see, it's gridded out Okay, then if you flip over, it's a floor plan of the building. So let's say there's a fire in the art room. There would, on the electronic device, there'd be a little emoji, or for lack of a better term, emoji would come up in the art room, and it would be flashing on their electronics and show them exactly where the art room is, so that the first responder would know the best place to go, so that they're not entering the building on this side when the art room's on the back of the building. And they would know to go to, L12 or, whatever it shows on the grid. This goes to 911 and to all first responders. This was also by grants through the DCJS. I've made these copies and laminated them. We'll also put these in their units or their vehicles, just in case something was to happen and, communication is down. They will have a printed copy of the map. So leave these for me when you leave this evening, so I don't have to keep laminating copies if you don't care to. The next thing I wanted to share with you is that presently all of our principals are working on their crisis plans. They met this week with local emergency management folks to discuss that. The next step will be, once they give it to me, then I will meet with the county emergency management as well as the county administrator. And then next month, we'll bring it to you to have you certify our crisis plan, and then we will send that to the state to be officially certified. And then the last thing that I wanted to share with you is that during our teacher work days coming up, our good folks with Dickinson County Sheriff's Department and with the Virginia State Police will be doing active shooter training for each one of our schools. It's a 2-hour session. They do active shooter and stop the bleed, so each school will receive that training as well during teacher work day. Any questions?
Very good. Any questions for Ms. Martin? Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martin.
And whoever was up here before me left their glasses, okay?
We hope we don't ever have to use any of these things, but we no longer live in that world, so we want to be very proactive and be prepared as much as we can.
Our next agenda item is update on Ridgeview Elementary School. Mr. Tim Burge.
Good evening. Everyone's doing well today. School is about to wrap up. It's got to wrap up. School's getting ready to start. We have had quite a few folks in there this week and last week working on different parts of the project. The elementary school, basically, we're still doing some punch list items, miscellaneous things, some adjusting of the air, a few things like that. But all in all, it's done. The addition, we are installing furniture this week. The control guys for the HVAC are completing their work. There's a few data drops and things that are being completed. All this work should be completed by the end of the week. There may be a few little things outstanding but school could still open with those small items out there. We do have a TCO for the whole building. Hopefully we'll get a permanent CO possibly by the end of the week, if not sometime next week. But we can still operate in the school under a TCO. The architects went through the addition today, did the punch list, so we should be receiving that in the next day or so. Like I said, the folks have been working. We received our HVAC units week before last. Last week, they were hooking them up, getting them installed, which was kind of the last big piece on the addition. So that's they have already got them running, and they are now tweaking them, testing and balancing them, those systems, as well as testing and balancing some of the things that were out of spec on the building. We've had Siemens here, Varney here, Elliott, all of them here, the testing agency provisions, all of them been here getting this final stuff taken care of. Also this week, there's a little bit of low voltage cabling that's nearing completion. They are working on that. The furniture is being installed this week. Final cleaning is taking place this week. And as I mentioned, we hope to get a CO and substantial completion this week, if not early next week. The budget for the main building still remains in budget. And then as well as a classroom addition. The new addition, as y'all will be looking at tonight on the agenda, getting ready to start that. I spoke with the site contractor this morning, and Quisenberry's already asked him to get ready to get up here and get the pad built. So, so that's exciting too, to get started on that. Some progress photos. This one here is the multipurpose room from the outside. This one here is the hallway on the first floor this morning. Next. This is on the second floor. This is the furniture they're installing on the second floor. They just got the floors waxed overnight last night. They've been installing this furniture today, and they'll have it all in before Friday. Next. One of the bathrooms on the addition. Next. This is one of the classrooms on the first floor where they've been able to get in and start putting furniture in. Of course, furniture's not complete. See a few ladders sitting around. The sprinkler guys are finalizing their stuff this week as well. They should be tying their water into that side of the building tomorrow. It's wrapping up as well. I think we've got to put a few fire alarm devices in the ceiling, one in each classroom and the bathrooms, and that remains, and those guys are here working on that this week. Next. Another classroom where they're working on getting set up, getting furniture moved in. Next. This is one on the second floor that just got waxed overnight. So they are moving furniture in there now. Next. Another classroom. This is actually the multipurpose room. And they've been moving stuff in there today, all day, getting the room set up as well. Next. Another picture of the multipurpose room as well. That may be the last one. Any questions for me on the addition or the school?
Tim, I've got a few inquiries, had a few inquiries this week from the public as far as some concern on whether or not everything's going to be good to go basically when school starts August the 9th. Do you have any concerns of that nature?
No, everything should be ready to go. Like I said, there may be a couple minor things left out that we'll have to take care of in the evenings or on weekends, but there's no reason why it should not be.
School should be able to start no problem.
Yep, should be able to start on time. No issues there that I can see. Any other questions?
Does anyone else have any questions? If not, Tim, thank you very much.
And Mr. Burge may want to address this issue also regarding the schedule for the Sand Lake demolition.
Yes, I
Tim,
can do that.
that's also included in your packet, and if you'd like to just briefly touch on that.
So in the addition, we put it out for bid last week, I believe it was posted out to bid, the demo of Sand Lake. We have a mandatory pre-bid meeting with the contractors on Tuesday next week before they can actually, if they don't show up, they can't bid. So then we'll be putting that out to bid in the next week or so. We'll be receiving bids. We also have gotten the report for the abatement from our consultant and specifications, so they know what they have to remove from the school as far as flooring and floor glue and whatever else might be there. So that's all in place in the documents to be bid out, to be in part of the bid. As soon as we get the bids back, we'll review them, and then we'll award, and they should start demo or start the abatement sometime in September. Late August, early September, they should start the abatement process in Sand Lick, and then followed right behind it with the demo, and then, of course, be turning it over to the county towards the end of the year. Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next on the agenda is approval of Dixon County Public Schools Comprehensive Construction Agreement and proposed resolution. Mr. Scott Mullins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You have a resolution in front of you. I know this is something that this board has been dealing with almost every meeting, and so I don't want to belabor it too much, but I do want to sort of hit the high spots of what's happened and how we come to be here tonight to deal with this. Back in January of this year, we received a proposal to build some additional classrooms. And we actually received that January 13. On January 25th, the school board unanimously voted to accept the proposal, and they directed us to go forward and do design work. And with the PPA, whenever you do design work, we call that an interim agreement. But the basic idea is that you work with the architect and you work with the builder to design a school that comes within your budget. And so you directed us to do that on January 25th. On April 26th, we had a meeting here, and this board again unanimously authorized us to sign an interim agreement to actually do the design work. Since April 26th, that design work has been ongoing. Last night, we presented what's called a comprehensive agreement to the Board of Supervisors. A comprehensive agreement is just a fancy word for an actual construction agreement. And so the interim agreement is design work. The comprehensive agreement is for the actual construction. The Dickinson County Board of Supervisors approved the comprehensive agreement for us to move forward. In summary, this new classroom wing will have, I believe, 6 additional classrooms and support spaces. Construction will begin July 31, 2023. We anticipate it be completed in August of 24, and a guaranteed maximum price of $4,974,000. We're recommending that you authorize us to go forward with that. What we would need, and the recommendation is in the resolution you have, that would authorize the division superintendent to execute this comprehensive agreement, continue to work with Skanska, and that we would continue to keep the Board of Supervisors involved and do those things we need to keep doing to keep the procurement moving forward. So basically, that is what the resolution says, what we're asking tonight, and ultimately what we need is a motion to adopt the resolution in the form presented. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Does anyone have a question for Mr. Mullins? If not, do we have a motion to approve the comprehensive construction agreement and resolution as approved by the Board of Supervisors and presented tonight?
I'll make that motion. We adopt the resolution regarding the comprehensive agreement as presented.
Second. Any further discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye. 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 Those opposed, nay. The motion passes. Our next agenda item, fiscal year 23, end of year summary letter, Ms. Taylor.
Ms. Taylor has another position today, so.
It's a little different from this side of the table, so. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As you are aware, on June 30th, 2023, there was a letter that was delivered to the Dickinson County Treasurer, Angela Rakes, and the Dickinson County Administrator, Larry Barton. That letter showed total revenues and prior year carryover as of 6/30/2023 was $35,990,623.16. Our total expenditures at 6/30/2023 was $34,659,033.33. The difference between that revenue and those expenditures was $1,331,589.83. We sent a request to carry those funds over. Those funds are designated for specific purposes, and those purposes are GED testing funds, $18,958, textbook funds, $8,970, Dolly Parton Imagination Library funding, $28,713.64, state construction grant funding, $1,169,983.67, and community schools grant, $104,964.62, which brings us back to our total of $1,331,589.83. I'd be glad to answer any questions that you may have regarding that 6/30/23 carryover letter.
Does anyone have any questions, Ms. Taylor?
And Ms. Taylor, am I correct that we've been allowed to carry that, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
We don't have to have a motion on this, right? That's
No.
just information.
Informational, yes, sir.
Does anyone have a question, Ms. Taylor? Very good. That was very clear. Thank you very much. Our next item is approval of the fiscal year 24 budget and budget amendment. Ms. Taylor.
As you're aware, we were expecting some possible changes to be made by the Virginia General Assembly up through June 30th. There were no changes that were made to the state budget by the General Assembly. So what we have done is we have created this budget amendment to adjust our original adopted budget, which was from back in March. At that point in time, we expected the most likely scenario would be the 7% compensation supplement, and unfortunately that has not occurred. So we used the new Virginia Department of Education calculation tools based on what was actually passed by the General Assembly, and those tools adjusted all of our state funding amounts, which includes the difference between a 5% compensation supplement for SOQ positions and the 5% that we did receive. On the basis of that budget that was created in March, we requested a required local match from Dickinson County in the amount of $5,043,065. If you remember, we also added an additional $798,768 in that request that was to be specifically earmarked for employee salaries. Dickinson County Board of Supervisors adopted their budget in June, and they did include the RLM, or required local match, of $5,043,065, plus an additional $5,000 for local appropriation to Dickinson County Public Schools. Again, since our budget was approved in March, there's been a lot of information that has been received since that time. We have more information. We have new revenue that we did not know about in March, and we have some revised estimates now that some of our federal program applications have been submitted. One of the additional grants that is included in this budget amendment, we received the School Construction Assistance Program Grant, $1,705,500. That has been added into this budget amendment for you to approve. And as mentioned last month, Mr. Mark Mullins spoke with you regarding multiple federal grant applications. Now that we have new estimates on that revenue, we have adjusted our budget in this proposed amendment to account for those. As of 6:30, there were balances for other funds that were received. We analyzed and determined what is likely to be revenue in 23-24 and adjusted those accordingly. For example, ESSER 2, ESSER 3, and the HVAC grants that were already in progress have been accounted for now that we have more accurate estimates of the remaining balances as of June 30th to move into fiscal 23-24. The proposed budget amendment adjusts revenues and expenditures in total from $35,650,713 to $36,218,276. That is a net increase of $567,564, although there are working parts going back and forth on each side. In summary, on state funding, the approved budget that was approved on March 22nd had state funding of $20,603,542. The amended budget for state funding is $22,008,018. That's an increase of $1,404,477. In federal funding, we had approved $6,223,306 in March. The proposed amended budget is $6,921,702. That is an increase of $698,396. As I mentioned, some of the major working parts in that federal funding is the timing on the spending of ESSER expenditures for construction. There were some that we had budgeted that we expected to be expended in June, was not, and will be in this next fiscal year. As I mentioned with the local appropriation, the total amount approved in March was $5,841,833. We're proposing that the budget be amended to $5,543,065, which is the amount that was appropriated in Dickinson County's budget in June. That is a decrease of $298,768 from our original request. In other funding, we had an approved budget in March, $298,900. We are proposing $413,900 in other funds. That is based on actual analyzed data as of June 30th, showing what is most likely to occur in fiscal year 23-24. That can be in our cafeteria, that can be in our Medicaid reimbursements, or various other revenue sources that we receive. That is an increase of $115,000. Our carryover request from fiscal year 22-23 to 23-24, we originally estimated that at $2,683,132. That amount at 6/30 was $1,331,591. It's a decrease of $1,351,541, and that is mainly a timing difference, and that's based on reimbursements from federal programs. On the expenditure side, you'll see the salaries and wages. Our approved budget for salaries and wages was originally $17,398,485. The proposal in the amended budget is $16,075,503. That is a decrease of $1,322,982 and is primarily a reflection of the difference in the compensation supplement from the Virginia state budget. Payroll-related expenditures, as you are aware, is a function of our salaries and wages. In most cases, it is percentage-based. Our approved budget in 3/22/23 was $10,611,514. The new proposed amended budget, based on those 5% salary increase, $10,109,775. That's a decrease of $501,738. And our non-payroll related expenditures, which is everything else that is not salary and wage related, the approved budget for March was $7,640,714. The proposed amended budget is $10,032,998. That is an increase of $2,392,284, and that is primarily due to a combination of the new school construction assistance program grant, as well as ESSER 3 and HVAC grant expenditures that we expect in 23-24. You do have in your packet, you have the revenue budget and the expenditure budget. It's a 4-page document that shows line by line those items that are proposed and amended. I would be glad to answer any questions that you may have on those. On the left-hand side is what we had approved as our budget in March. The middle column is all of the numbers making up those proposed amendments, and the right-hand side on that column is the total fiscal year '24 amended budget that is proposed. Again, just to summarize that, total revenues, $36,218,276 in both revenue and expenditures for fiscal year '23-24.
Questions? Are there any questions for Ms. Taylor?
Ms. Taylor, are we still anxiously awaiting any General Assembly action, or are we just kind of moving on and not worrying about?
At this point, I think we're just kind of moving on and not waiting or worrying about it. I'm in the process of working on contracts now with the information that we have. My sources have told me that it could happen, and if it does happen, it could happen in October, it could happen in November, it could happen in January, or it might not happen at all. So our best course of action is to move forward with what we know and just act accordingly from here.
Because even if it happens at that point in time, it's more affecting on what we would do next year, I guess, rather than this year.
Most likely.
Or could amend something midway.
I think most likely so. It would depend on the language that's put in by the General Assembly.
So, did we have a copy of the 3 columns you talked about there regarding the...
There should have been a document in your packet.
I didn't see one either, and we will be glad to email that to the board right after our meeting so that you will have that.
Yes, I do have one copy here, if it's not in your packet, and we can definitely email that out to you.
I don't think we have that in our packet.
I looked at that also.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Are there any questions, Ms. Taylor? Those numbers have obviously changed a great deal, but the state sure was tardy in what they eventually did.
We will need...
Do we have a motion to approve the fiscal year budget and budget amendment as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye. 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 Any opposed, no. Motion passed. Okay, we have the update for OAS 2023-2024 school opening transition. Ms. Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and board members. I have... just to update the board on what has happened, I think since ribbon cutting, and we've had summer school at Ridgeview Elementary School. We have also closed summer school. We have moved all of the teacher resources and supplies, and in addition, teachers are there now unpacking so that we can be ready when teachers return next Thursday. So there's been a lot of activity at Ridgeview Elementary School, as in all of our schools, to try to get ready in a shorter summer for the beginning of school. Our emphasis now is on buses and transportation. We've met with our bus drivers today. Mr. Mooney has met with bus drivers. Bus drivers, as we've mentioned, have taken up test times on their buses. A lot of activity, and we anticipate that when school begins, this will probably be a topic of discussion among parents and students and staff members, because it's going to be different, of course. It was different 7 years ago when we opened up Ridgeview. It's going to be different this year, and again, when we consolidate Clintwood Elementary School, it will be different again. But I just have for you just a draft of proposed times for each of the buses in the Hayside, Irvington, and Clintwood Elementary area. 15 buses who are, and what is on this page is last year's pickup time, how long the bus route. The second column is how long the bus routes were last year and what we propose or project for this year. 15 buses out of the bus fleet are less or about within 5 minutes this year than last year. So we have 15 buses whose times are about the same, we project, for this year as they were last year. 13 buses are buses, 13 of the buses are times that are increasing, and we're looking at those very carefully to see how that will work and what we can do to perhaps alleviate that. You know, one of the issues that, we talked about this today, one of the issues in our county, of course, is our roads, and so, you know, you can go so fast on a two-lane or, you know, high roads, and so, you know, we have to work with all of that. But again, these are just projected times for you to look at as we work through. Buses, we will again dismiss buses by communities. At Ridgeview, we will dismiss Hayside buses first, then Irvington, then Clintwood buses. In those communities, the buses that have the longest to travel, they will be lined up first. So if we have a bus in the Clintwood area or in the Hayside area that has to travel the longest, then they will be first. Ridgeview Elementary will board buses at Ridgeview Elementary School. I know that that has been a question, and we wanted to assure our parents that we will pick up, unload and load students at Ridgeview Elementary School in front of the school, and of course the parent pickup will be, it will be in front of this building, but of course the pickup will be in front of Ridgeview Elementary School. We plan to post on Facebook and the DCPS website and make several all-calls about how we plan the dismissal and arrival times at Ridgeview. We have talked with law enforcement, and they are committed to the first 2 or 3 days of school to be here and direct traffic for us, because as we know, it's tradition that we all bring our children to school the first day of school, which is wonderful and a sweet tradition, except when you're looking at traffic. And of course, it just creates issues, but that's okay. We will work through those. So again, these are just projected times. It does not mean that a child will necessarily be on the bus that amount of time. It means that the bus route is that long. And so again, we know the roads that we are dealing with and the transportation issues that we have, and we're working through those. We will try to have bus drivers that will be floaters, and so in the case of substitutes, we need substitutes, we will have those buses available. So again, this is all projected. If you have ideas or if you see things, please let us know. The more eyes that we see and the more eyes that we have on this, the better. This has all been discussed with board members and with bus drivers, and so we've also had their input. Another thing that we're working with, and VDOT has made great strides in this, but we're still dealing with some roads that are closed from the storm, horrendous storm that we had in May. Some of those roads there have not been repaired. We can't get a bus on them, so we're still working on that. So we know that bus transportation will be an issue at Ridgeview, probably for the first 2 or 3 weeks. We also know that we would like for our board to know, our parents to know, our guardians, and our children, that we take this very seriously. We understand the issues with bus transportation, and we will work through them. I know that it's difficult to be patient because even for myself, I want it fixed today, but it may take a couple of days, and it may take time for our bus drivers to get into a routine. Some of these bus routes are new, or they've been switched, or they've been moved, or somehow combined. So again, Mr. Mooney and myself and our bus drivers, we're prepared to do what we need to do to make sure that our bus transportation will go as smooth as possible. But we do acknowledge that because of the obstacles that we face, that it will be an issue probably for the first week to 2 weeks. So let me take any questions that you may have or any insights on this that the board may have.
Does anyone have a question or comment?
And if you have, if you hear concerns or, please contact us immediately because we know that they're most likely very legitimate and we want to address them as quickly as possible.
Okay, our next agenda item, use of copyrighted Ridgeview logos, Mr. Scott Mullins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think that we'll have some slides show up in a moment, but I want to take the opportunity to talk with the school board and maybe, it's a good time of the year to start talking about logos and what they really are and how this came about. And our school logos are truly unique to Ridgeview. As far as I know, they are the only trademarked logos in southwestern Virginia. The logos that we have, and there'll be something show up behind you here, just, a tutorial 101, what is a trademarked logo? It is a unique and legally protected graphic or design that represents a specific school. And the trademark or the logo, it can't be used without the school's permission. I have actually gone to big box stores and where they try to sell our logos and done cease and desist letters to those, because the whole idea behind the logos was that because they are our property, that they would be exclusively used by the students at Ridgeview and by the organizations that directly support those students. So, next slide, please. To give you, this is something we don't deal with every day. There are two basic types of art. There's original art, which is unique pieces created by artists that you work with them, and it's intended to reflect a distinctive brand that the community could embrace. Stock art, if you go on the internet, you'll see lots of, if you type in images of whatever view you want to have, everything from animals, swords, anything that you might have as a mascot, you'll come up with hundreds of pieces of stock art. Next slide, please. What are Ridgeview's logos? Well, they are they're trademarked, and it's really a fascinating story to how they came about. A long time ago, we got some money, a bunch of money, to build this Ridgeview campus, and we had this new name and we had these new images, but the one thing we didn't have was money, because the money that we had to build the school came from the Corps of Engineers. And the Corps of Engineers was very specific that that money could be used for land and for buildings and infrastructure, but not for athletic clothing. And so here we were, starting out a new year, and we had to outfit all these sporting teams, and we had very limited funds to do that. So we started a procurement process that was the largest procurement process I've ever been involved with, and it was a truly remarkable experience in that it had all the coaches from the schools. I remember Coach Colley, I remember Coach Rick Mullins, Kent Grant. There were representatives of all the sporting teams, And we put out a lot of information, and we had several entities appear that wanted to sell us jerseys and helmets and shoes and all the things that you don't really anticipate how involved it will be or how expensive it is to outfit a team. And simply stated, we didn't have the money. And so what we did was we started selling advertisements for the school boards out there. And I'm proud of the way that the school system went about that, and we got, I think, a good, fair return on that. And that went into the first outfits that we bought, the sporting outfits, the helmets for the football team. And then we took the revenues that we received from those early efforts with the football team, and they went into the next, the basketball. And we kept, we kept generating revenue. But it could have gone either way for a while as to whether we could put outfits on all of our teams. And it was truly remarkable to see our communities come together and work together. And it was really the first time you could see that Ridgeview was a great thing, because people really wanted to pull together to make this work. And the people there were probably 15 or 20 people involved in that procurement. Now, when we started out, we had no inclination to create original art or logos. All we wanted were helmets and shoes and jerseys and the things that it took, real practical things to get things done. But there were some people that came here through those procurements that were sophisticated, and they saw that having certain brands of shoes, certain brands of helmets, that was a good thing for them too, because they wanted us to wear their gear. And so this thing sort of took off, and we spent 3 days interviewing different groups of people that were willing to supply the things we needed to get our athletic teams up and going. And one of them that we really liked said, we do this on a national level, and we can do 2 things for you that you may not have thought about. We can hire artists that will create original art for you. Not stock art, but original art for you. And it will be different than stock art. It will be designed specifically for you, and then you can protect it. And it will be associated with your school, just like the college teams are. Just like the UK, UT, Virginia Tech, you have your own unique design. And so that was sort of a new concept. And so that turned out to be pretty exciting, because the people that were there really got involved in what would be a good design that would stand the test of time for our schools. And it wasn't just the art, it was the colors. And I encourage you to look at that brand book that I gave you, because you will see that the logos are not casual. The way that they are to be laid out, the font, the colors, they are very specific. And we want to adhere to that specificity so that when people see those logos, they know that those are representations of our school that we have chosen and that truly represent Ridgeview, not stock art. And we'll talk more about the stock art and the other shirts and hats and things that you see in the community, and those are great. But the logos that we're talking about here are distinctive from those. And really what it takes to get a trademark logo is after you get your original art, you have to vet it. And the companies that we retain, they actually looked throughout the United States to make sure that no other people had art that was so similar to that, the law calls it deceptively similar, but it was so similar that it could be confusing. So it wasn't just that they threw this art together. You know, they looked throughout the country to see that it truly was distinctive. So after they did that, then we took, and it was my first experience in trademarking logos, but what you do in Virginia, we actually have, through the State Corporation Commission, a division of securities and retail franchising. And you go through a process with them, and then they give you back a document that has a photo of your logos, and they are trademarked at that point in time. A lot of people get this confused. They think that the trademark protects your logo. It really is not, that's not exactly right. When you create unique works of art, then those are yours. The trademark simply gives the world notice that those are yours. But those don't make the logos yours. The logos are yours when you hire an artist to create the art that you choose that reflects your school. So all I can tell you is that process, a lot of people put a lot of time into it. A lot of people put some heart and soul into it. And it was an important thing for the community. And I think it was really a first step for the 3 school areas to realize that we're moving into something that is permanent, and it's a big deal. And it's going to be a big deal, you know, for a long time. So it was an exciting process. Next slide. I want to go through these very quickly. Next slide. These are our logos. These are trademarked. Next slide. Next slide. This is a logo you see a lot, and some of these will start to look the same to you because they're slightly different, or they have backgrounds. Next slide. That's probably the most common slide, or most common logo you see. That seems to be the most popular logo that we have. I want to make sure. I don't know if it will show up. Yeah, I think it does. If you will look, and this is barely discernible on what you have in front of you, but see where the ridge view is at the top? You see some shaded areas at the bottom of the words that say ridge view. Barely discernible, but you can see shade about halfway up, a third of the way up on the word Ridgeview. In a better light and on a better screen, or not screen, but just in, you know, when you look at the logo itself, what those shaded areas are, those are mountains in the background, and that is a depiction of the way the Cumberland Mountain rolls when you're sitting on the home side at Ridgeview on Friday night. Those, the mountains roll in the same way that those shaded areas roll. Again, it's much clearer when you see the actual logo. Next slide. That's the football logo. Next slide. Next slide. Those fonts, the way things are designed there, those are unique, so unique that we can call those ours. Next slide. Next slide. So to get to the, I guess the point of why I wanted to bring this to the attention of the board, Ms. Martin, I was in on the beginning of this, and I get called in from time to time to deal with it, but Ms. Martin is really the one that has to deal with this more than anyone, and she probably needs, board support, my support more than anyone, because a lot of people, they are good community people. They want to, they believe in the school system. It's not that they're trying to do anything inappropriate, but a lot of people will take our logos and they want to put them on various things. It could be a church, it could be a group, but anyway, that they want to use our logos, and it's really hard to say no to your neighbors. Now, just for purposes of clarity, we have had schools from North Carolina to California go on the internet, find our logos, and actually start using them with new schools, our exact logo. And amazingly, in our community, we have people who watch this stuff, and we get calls. And so what I do whenever I look at it, I make sure that they have, in fact, just went and taken our logo. I call up the school divisions. I'm very, professional and collegial with them, and all of them have agreed once they understand, then they go get stock art. And, the things that are available on the internet, but they don't use our logos. And so when we started this process, the whole idea of our logos was that, and I guess it's said there on the screen, that the trademark logos are there to ensure a continuity and a brand recognition and a sense of belonging for future generations. And we want to have a consistent visual identity. And the problem about letting everyone use our logos is once you let one person, it's like Mr. Hackney says about when he's reading into public comment, that treating one person, letting one person say, talk more than 5 minutes and another holding them to the time is not fair. And, once we let these logos out and stop protecting them, then we really have a hard time reining it back in. And so that is why we generally work with people, and to their credit, and maybe to Ms. Martin's credit, she's used her good people skills, and then the people that have been on the other side of this that have gotten our logos and used them, they're good. They've been good to work with, and so it's something we've worked through. It's something new, but when you think about this, I encourage you not to think about it in terms of today, or certainly not yesterday and how it came about. But this is a line that, as long we're down to one school in Dickinson County. I hope someday we have an influx of people and we need to build new schools. But for a long time, Ridgeview may be our only school. And there are going to be generations of students come out of here, and we want them to have something that the kids that are here today, that their parents, they'll be parents someday, and their kids will be having those same logos. We want it to be consistent, and we want to control it. And so that's why I know each of you have been asked by your neighbors, by your friends, we want to use the logo. And I wanted to take just an opportunity to explain, why we kind of toe the mark or toe the line on just keeping that within the school store. We actually have an internet store where people can go on and buy our trademark logo merchandise, and we get money back from it. So I hope I didn't bore you with that, but I can just tell you it was one of the most exciting things I've had an opportunity to participate in, not because of the logos or the designs, but because of the way the communities came together to create something that was unifying. And because of that unification, I think that's why we're wanting to sort of protect those symbols for as long as we can. So I'll try to answer any questions you have.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Mullins? Is there anyone up here that disagrees with what's been stated, that this ought to be the property of the students and the school division forever and without interruption? Is that what you're saying, basically?
I think it is, but I also think that it comes with a degree of explaining to people. You know, the people that usually come and just see our logos and start using them, there are no ill intentions. It's just a process of trying to get the word out to people that this is not about the school board. This is about the kids and the continuity for them.
Well, do we need to make a motion to that effect, or what?
Well, Mr. Rasnick, we were told, by the prior school boards that started this, that we were to protect it. I basically wanted you to know that unless there were questions, concerns, or there was a different direction that you wanted to give us, that was what we were going to continue to do. But certainly we would be happy to have a motion that that you endorse the idea of us continuing the process of protecting our logos.
Well, I would like for the motion to be that this board, that we reaffirm that this logo is for the students and community of Ridgeview and no one else out there ever in the future. This is a permanent motion forever, that logo will be protected at all costs. Is that sufficient?
I think it is, and forever is certainly a long time, but what I would say is things may change. There may be some time when a bank will come to us, and this has already sort of happened, and they'll say, we want to support your school, and we want to put your logo on people's checks. And we may work out some sort of contract with them where they pay us X amount of dollars, and they keep up with the checks. And so I'm not saying that there wouldn't be a time that we would branch out with our logos, but I am saying we have to do that thoughtfully and carefully, because once you start letting it get out to third parties, it's really hard to pick, the people that should have it and the people that shouldn't have it. So, but yes, sir, to answer your question, yes, sir, I think a motion that we protect the logos and that is the position of the school board, I think that's great.
Is there a motion to that effect? Is there a motion for that?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
In discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Motion passes. Thanks, Mr. Mullins. That concludes the agenda items. At this time, we will have board comments. Mr. Hackney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just appreciate the Appalachian Project visiting tonight and explaining some of the things they do for our community, great things, and also appreciate Mr. Burge giving us an update on the construction, and Ms. Taylor giving us the budget information, and just would like to wish all of our students a happy return to school. It's an exciting time for this time of year, so hopefully all that goes well.
Thank you, Mr. Hackney. Mr. Mullins.
Well, I was really impressed with the addition of the information that Karen Martin presented us with the safety and the technology. I don't think that we can appreciate how much those things are and what they mean to us until something drastic happens. and that could be so beneficial to the staff, the students, and the EMS. I think it was really exciting to hear Mr. Burge talk about the future and the opening of the new elementary school. And you know, this is going to be something that is going to create history, that we are blessed to be able to see all schools on Big Ridge, on the Ridgeview campus. And I just think that is a wonderful thing, and it's been a long, long time coming. And I just appreciate everybody who's worked and had a hand in that and what it means to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rollins. Dr. Lyle.
If you had said several years ago that all county students would attend schools at one location, you might be accused of not being in contact with reality and possibly needing psychiatric care. Due to the effort of many people, this is about to occur. Leadership of Ms. Robinson, school superintendent, and Mr. Mullins, school attorney, is crucial for this, but many people were involved in it. And I think it's great and wonderful, and I hope to be around another year, not as a member of the board, but as an observer when all of them are here. Thank you.
With regard to the logo, I think anything that precious and that is so significant, not only for those of us that are here now, but those to come in the future, it definitely needs protection from here forward forever. It is certainly a source of pride and always for the students and the community to have in their hand and not in the hand of others out there. And it should be maintained in the proper manner. Obviously, it has to go, every request has to come through and be approved, I would assume, by our legal counsel and then to the board for anything that might come up. But I think that's just a given, that is so central to the pride forever for this school and for all those students that walk through these doors. I would hope that I always, having worked in the school division 34 years, and for a good number of those years been a building principal and assistant principal, that first week of school was always one that I was always nervous about, and I still am, and have been in the years I've been away from the school division. We all know the highways out here. We all know the rules, and we know that folks are sometimes on the road, and if you think you're going to get to work at your workplace and dealing with the traffic around the school in the morning, you need to allow a little more time for that. It's just common. This needs to be the safest area every day for any traffic on any road out here, and everybody that comes on these roads needs to do the right thing and keep our folks safe in every way. And those that stand along the roads, and for these buses, these routes are going to change, obviously, and that first day or two, there definitely will be some lateness, I'm sure, but that has to be taken into account. And the main thing we have to do every day is just ensure that our kids are safe and the public is safe along, but especially our children and those along the roadside, and these buses stopping every so often all along every road in this county. And for all the traffic at Ridgeview, it's going to be a challenge that first few days. And I just ask everybody to be patient and cooperate with each other and just simply do the right thing. And make sure you give extra time to get here and keep the little ones as safe as we possibly can. We have some excellent roads around here and around this school, this complex. And some people don't like the rules that are there, but the rules are there. VDOT, they consider safety, and certainly the school board, Ms. Robinson, and all the people that have something to say about the traffic around this facility need to make sure that people follow the rules. And for those that don't, there needs to be a penalty. This needs to be the safest place of any place in this county. And I certainly hope that everybody just remembers that. Those first few days will be tough. It always is. They always are. And let's just take care to make sure that we protect every individual, especially our precious students coming into this building. And we certainly ask our parents and grandparents to cooperate with that in a good way. I look forward to a good start, and it seems that Ms. Robinson and her staff have things in order. I know the first work day is when?
The first workday is next Thursday.
Next Thursday is not far away. And then the first day of school is August what, Ms. Robinson?
Excuse me?
First day of school?
The week after, Wednesday the 9th, October the 9th. August the 9th.
That's not far away either. Let's hope we get off to a good start, and I hope that everybody just comes together and makes it work and do the right thing. Just be polite and courteous and safe out there in every way. We will now go into closed session pursuant to Section 2.23711, Paragraph A of the Code of Virginia. There will be closed sessions per of employment issues relating to discussion or consideration of specific individuals for employment as teachers, part-time aides, substitutes, coaches, request to rescind resignations and transfer pursuant to Virginia Code 2.2-3711A, and also to consult with legal counsel regarding the investment of public funds associated with school construction, consultation regarding actual probable litigation, along with consultation regarding specific matters requiring legal advice pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A, 6 and 7, paragraphs A, 6, 7, and 8 of the Code of Virginia. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
In discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by saying yes. Aye. Aye. Opposed? Is there a motion to come out of closed session?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, motion passes. We're now in closed session. Ms. Ross, will you please read the certification?
Yes, sir. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Dickinson County School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, 1, only the public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed, and 2, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered. Would you please certify?
I certify. Mr. Agney?
I certify.
I certify. I certify.
Are there any motions from closed session?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the public recommendations as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Is there any other business to discuss? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed?